Well, at least now I don't have to fend off any claims I've been too positive this year. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spin It Reviews, and today I'm going to be talking about the new album from Matt and Kim called New Glow. So contrary to what you guys might think when you click on a 7-minute analysis of an album, I can get into some lightweight pop music from time to time, and an example of that to me has always been Matt and Kim, the Brooklyn pop duo who've pissed off many a snobby indie critic for years with their unapologetically bright, happy, and optimistic brand of synth pop. And while sure, their earlier albums like Grand are a little more lo-fi, and Sidewalks was a lot more polished and radio-ready, for the most part, they kept up a pretty consistent and solid track record. Sure, none of their albums are masterpieces front to back by any means, but for what they set out to do, they have done it pretty well. Now, their last album, Lightning, I was a little conflicted on. Not because of the songs, mind you. In fact, in my opinion, it's their catchiest collection of tracks to date, and probably Matt and Kim at their Matt and Kimmiest, so to speak. But it was more that in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but think that if they didn't change things up next time around, they could risk stagnating pretty badly. Well, on this new album, New Glow, the good news is that they did try a few new things. The bad news is that it also results in by far their worst album. Now, to kind of explain what doesn't work about this thing, I'm going to talk about the two worst tracks on it, Hoodie On and Get It. Hoodie On is quite possibly the most nauseatingly stupid song I've heard in 2015 so far. This is one of the few painfully awkward attempts they make at that trendy minimalist trap music sound, and frankly, even DJ Mustard would laugh at this beat. And as for the lyrics, look, there's a fine line between knowing that broad simplicity is your strong suit and running with that, and just not even trying, and this one falls firmly into the latter. It legitimately sounds like an experiment the band did to see if fans would call them out for writing an entire song about the first thing they saw in the room, namely a freaking jacket, and surprisingly, aside from me, no one really has. Meanwhile, Get It was a terrible, though unfortunately very representative, first taste of the album, complete with the aforementioned insultingly lazy, repetitive lyrics, and of course that awful, out-of-place breakdown in the middle, where it seems like they just took some unused Mike Will Made It beat and threw that in the mix just for the hell of it. Now, I know what you guys are gonna say. Oh, but Mark, they've been playing the instrumental for this song live for years! I know, I saw them live in 2013. Here's the thing, I hated it then too, and I was hoping they weren't exactly gonna expand on it later on, you know? Oh, and speaking of not even trying, fun fact, there's a song on Sidewalks called Good for Great that contains the line, "We sing along but the notes are wrong." Here on New Glow, they recycle this line not just once, but twice, word for word on Get It, and kind of paraphrased on Make a Mess, instead saying, "Scream the loudest and get all the lyrics wrong." Which kind of baffles me, because as a guy who goes to a good amount of shows, I think we can all agree that one of the worst guys in the crowd, aside from people with selfie sticks, is that guy who severely dampens the music that night by overriding the singer with their drunken yells of dying cat gibberish. Why they would actively encourage that, especially at their shows, is beyond me. But luckily for us, these terrible new elements don't just cause 100% bad songs. Sometimes, like in the case of Stirred Up, they can ruin songs that might have been good otherwise. I mean, sure, the lyrics are shallow, but with the punchy synths and head-knocking groove, it actually could have kinda worked, if not for the unbearably obnoxious, warped chorus that really sounds more at home on a Future song than a Matt and Kim one. I think the thing with the good majority of this album is that they took that charming, earnest childishness that characterized their other stuff and switched it out for this trashy, immature, obnoxious childishness and expected the same kind of appeal to come out of it, which simply did not happen. Not to mention that on the production side of things, I feel like if they used more real drums from Kim as opposed to the drum machines that appear on some of these tracks, a lot of these tracks could have had a lot more life and energy to them, but instead they just come off stale and rigid and monotonous a lot of the time. However, that little rant aside, the title New Glow does actually sporadically make sense on a couple tracks. Aside from the great bursts of classic Matt and Kim like Not Alone and Can You Blame Me, there are some moments here and there where they experiment a little with their sound to some really good effect. I love the horns and string synth sounds and old school bubblegum vibe on Killin Me, and Isia closes the album on a pretty strong note, with a genuinely sweet ode to missing friends and family on the road. I'm not sure if it beats $10 I found as far as soft closers go, but it just might. But by far, the most impressive moment on this album is World Is Ending. In a surprisingly mature turn, this is a slow-building ballad with great piano work, Kim singing lead in the chorus and actually sounding pretty good, and a fantastic wall of bass effect, for lack of a better term, that comes in the second half and adds a lot of weight to a song that already has some pretty heavy subject matter for a Matt and Kim song. To me, it's sort of a confession about fear of things going wrong. Maybe it could be about the relationship between Matt and Kim. Maybe it's about relevance in the music scene. There are certain wording at certain points in the song that could lead to some kind of double meaning, but I'm not really sure. But just the fact that they can write a song this nuanced means that not only is this album mediocre, but it's a huge waste of potential. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't expect Matt and Kim Vol bands to go fully deep for a whole 10-track album. I mean, let's be realistic here. But at the same time, if the overall quality of every song here matched that of World Is Ending or Killin Me or others in that kind of vein, then not only would New Glow justify its title, but this would be easily Matt and Kim's best album to date. As is though, New Glow is a big step down from what they've done before. They were never the most technically mind-blowing group in the world, but at least in the past they've kind of made it work for them, you know? Here though, in the worst moments, they actively regress their sound big time, and this gets a 5 from me. Worth cherry picking for the better moments, I suppose, but otherwise, unless you're just a curious fan, you're better off wasting your time elsewhere. And that's saying a lot, given this album is only 27 minutes long. So if you guys have heard this album, what do you think about it? Do you agree with what I just say? Disagree? Have any feedback about the channel in general? Let me know in the comments down below. Oh, and I gotta give a big shout out to AlexD453. You guys might remember that a couple days ago, I launched a subscriber challenge where if you send over a certain amount of people, I'll shout out your channel, and just the day I announced it, this guy, AlexD453, did just that. Over on his channel, you'll find mainly drum covers. He's done one of Fall Out Boy's Uma Thurman that's really good, one for the main. He's posted a couple other like music-related vlog type stuff, and he says that other stuff in both those veins will be on the way soon. So if you're interested, his channel will be linked here and in the description, and I strongly recommend checking him out. Anyway, share this around with anyone who might be interested, like the Facebook page in the description for updates, and hopefully I'll see you on the next episode of Spin It Reviews. Well, on this new album, New Glow, the good news is that, yeah, they did try a few new things, but, and this is a big but, much like Kim's, I'm not using that.